Hello, welcome to The Perspective on Jakarta Globe News Channel. I'm Florence Armein. October marks the second year of Joko Widodo and Yusuf-Kalla's administration. What has been achieved? There has been many notable achievements and milestones, but room for improvements remain. And to talk about that, we have invited the Executive Director of Center for Strategic and International Studies, Philip Vermonte. Thank you for joining us, Philip.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you. Now, before we get down to business and focus on each of the sectors that Jokowi is championing in his last 2 years of administration, but how do you think he has performed overall?
I think the second year is very interesting compared to the first one. I think we all see how Pak Jokowi consolidates his power. Now, practically, he is the most powerful politician in Indonesia, and he governs through his parties as well as trying to engage more parties. The last reshuffle, I think it's clearly an indication that Pak Jokowi somehow have get most of the political parties on board, and that then we can expect a more stable, political dynamics in a few months to come. Although change might come because this is politics, but so
very
far
dynamic.
It's very dynamic. But I think so far Pak Jokowi has been able to consolidate his power.
Interesting when you say the most powerful politician in the country at the moment. And this wasn't the case when he took office, especially during the first year. Many people think he's playing the long game, or that Jokowi had no idea what is going on politically, or that he did not have any political advisor that is giving him or giving the map of politics in the country.
Right. If we look at some of the instances, apparently Pak Jokowi got the upper hand. For example, in the appointment of the Commander-in-Chief of the Indonesian Armed Forces last year, and that indicates how he plays his power out. And then once again he did that when he appointed the new Chief of the National Police, Pak Tito Karnavian, that surpassed so many seniors in ranks above Pak Tito. That's also, I think, showed some.
That's proof that he can stomp his feet and.
Right, he got some independence in exercising his constitutional rights as the President of the Republic, as well as the reshuffle. We've heard so many reports how it was done, and how it was Pak Jokowi himself who took the decision, and caught some, even his closest aides, by surprise that he was able to do that. So from that three instances, I think it's a clear indication that Pak Jokowi now is more and more comfortable with the power that he has. Unlike in the first few months and even the first 1 year, I think he was new kid on the block, so to speak, and then he didn't know who's who in the national politics. But now I think Pak Jokowi is a very fast learner, and then his learning curve, I think, is shortened out. And now I think it's time for Pak Jokowi to implement his visions, his policies, because I think he only has 1.5 years left. Because
effectively in terms of changing things,
in fulfilling all the campaign promises, his visions about the Indonesian development and so on. Because I think beginning or late 2018 and early 2019, everybody will talk about elections, and then government become a kind of a lame duck. So I think this is very important. He has the social modality, the level of approval for Pak Jokowi is pretty high. I think it's consistent across surveys, CSIS surveys and other survey agencies had shown that he has a very solid support from the society. And then politically, he also now has solid support from political parties in the parliament as well as in the cabinet.
We'll get to that survey conducted by CSIS on the performance of this particular government. But from the first reshuffle towards the end of August of 2015 and then July 2016, the second reshuffle, what difference do you see here in terms of him playing out politically appointment? Do you think there's a major difference from the first and the second now that he has gained a foothold of the political scene in the country?
Right. I think let's talk first about the similarity. I think it showed the consistency in the style of leadership of Pak Jokowi.
Right.
That is, he will not succumb to pressures for his decision.
Even from his party, PDIP?
I think so. If we remember the first reshuffle, the pretext was the sluggish situation of our economy. So the pretext was the oppositions and many corners demanded him to do the reshuffle, especially to replace ministers with economic portfolio.
Yeah.
But then what Pak Jokowi did was a very limited reshuffle.
Yeah.
He only replaced the coordinating ministers. Only one minister with economic portfolio, that is Minister of Trade at that time, Pak Gobel, that was replaced.
Yeah.
But the other economic ministers remained in their position.
Yeah.
So he listened to the pressure to reshuffle, but he did the way he did.
Yeah.
That is a very limited one.
Yeah.
That then I think silenced the opposition because he did it, but
he wants to show them.
He wants to show that I listen, but let's do it the way I want to do it. His term. And then the second one, I think on the second reshuffle, once again I think he was able to tame, quote unquote, major political party that shift the balance towards him. As we know, he was not in a really good term with PDIP. Then that's why I think he sought support from other parties, and the easiest, alternative would be Golkar, because Golkar is a major party in the parliament, and they are very experienced and all that. So he included, somehow Golkar into the political party, although that created some complications with his relationship. But now he more or less got the majority of support in the parliament. So then once again, Pak Jokowi, I think, did it in his own term and showed some independency.
Now, in your survey, there is a specific sector which you look into how public sees his the new ministers that he's appointed. 9 positions were either new positions or reshuffled. And what does the survey tell? So how does the public feel, and what is their observation? What's the public's observation of Jokowi's move on these particular ministers?
Right. I think the majority of the public agreed with his decision, except on the replacement that is on the Minister of Education. People felt, according to the survey, that was not a right decision.
Many were disappointed because Anies was replaced.
But the other ministers, I think, in general, public agreed with his decision.
Including Wiranto?
Yes,
as
I
top
think.
security?
Right. Yeah. We are talking about those who were replaced, not those who were in. So the survey asked whether the decision to replace these ministers is right, or you agree or disagree with this. So in terms of those who were replaced, one name stood out, that is Anies Baswedan, that people thought it's not quite a good decision.
What is in your observation that Jokowi replaced Anies with Muhajir? What was the consideration behind that replacement? Is it because Anies there's no breakthrough from Anies? Is it obviously they will say it's performance-wise,
right?
But in your perspective,
well, I think you should ask that to Pak Jokowi. But if I may guess, number one, I think the thing is this: the ministers who were replaced, we don't actually get the explanation from the president, which is also okay, because that's the constitutional right of the president to choose and pick who he wants to be in the cabinet. That's, I think, we have to remember. But then people were speculating about the reasons of this replacement, not only about Minister of Education, but the other ministers as well. So I think it is in the hands of Pak Jokowi to explain, to make us understand why the decision was made. There are rumors, there are speculation that it's related to the Indonesian smart
Smart
card distribution, and so on and so forth, and then and others. But we will not know for sure unless it is stated by
Jokowi.
by the
By Jokowi
president.
himself.
By
All right, we
the
look into other
president.
sectors of
All right.
his performance when we come back.